feel like you're doing the work of 4 people? With Monday.com.
Let me guess. You're looking for more information on the High-Tech Act, but it's been hard finding anything that simply sums up what the Act is.
Let me fiddle with the sound here for a second. Funny, it's always set exactly at 67. I wonder why that is.
And how it's going to affect your practice, right? Well, we think we can help. First, let's answer the easy question. What's the High-Tech Act? Short answer? It's the Health Information Technology for Economic and Clinical Health Act, enacted as a part of President Obama's $787 billion stimulus package and meant to stimulate industry-wide EHR adoption. Of course, the longer answer requires a little backstory. So let's start here. In 1967, when a computer took up an entire room, medical researchers first began to record their findings electronically. Unfortunately, scalability and costs limited its spread beyond the halls of academia. In the 70s and 80s, Silicon Valley was born. Nerds ruled, and the race was on to put a computer on every desktop. By the 90s, computers were freed from their desktops, and laptops became a business necessity. Doctors went online to do research, shop, email, nearly everything except record and exchange clinical information. Fast forward a bunch of years. Technology is now sophisticated enough to digitize and index the medical records of every single person in the country. Still, only 4 out of 10 doctors have adopted an EHR, and only around half of them are using it to its fullest, while most doctors are still drowning in paper. President Obama, like President Bush before him, realized in order to truly stimulate EHR adoption, the industry was going to need a little push. Which brings us to today. The High-Tech Act provides funds, $19.2 billion worth, to help guide physicians away from the inefficiencies of a paper-based system. The main goal is to improve health outcomes and lower costs by encouraging 90% of all doctors to become meaningful users of an EHR by 2019. Starting in 2011 with more than $17 billion distributed in the form of incentive payments. Qualified professionals are eligible to receive up to $44,000 over 5 years in Medicare incentives and up to $63,750 in Medicaid incentives, depending on a mix of requirements and patient thresholds. Anyone who waits to get started could lose out and even get hit with penalties beginning in 2015. Here's an example of how it all works. Say you're looking to collect Medicare incentives for the first year of payment, and you use a certified EHR and demonstrate 2011 meaningful use criteria. In 2011, you're eligible to receive payments equal to 75% of your Medicare allowable charges, up to a maximum of $18,000. So if your Medicare charges exceed $24,000 in 2011, you'll receive the maximum, $18,000 in that year. Each year after that, you'll receive additional payments up to a maximum total of $44,000. In order to qualify for these payments, providers need to meet a comprehensive set of criteria, known as the meaningful use requirements of an EHR. These requirements, which the government defined in July of 2010 in an 864-page document, break down into 5 big goals. And within each goal, a host of measures that will continue to evolve over time. Only by using a certified EHR and meeting all of these requirements will you qualify for high-tech money. Okay, if your head's spinning at this point, don't worry. The government knew this wouldn't be easy, so they set aside $2 billion of stimulus money to create regional extension centers, or RECs, to help you figure it all out. Over the next 4 years, these RECs will help physicians make sense of the High-Tech Act through education and outreach programs. Keep in mind, RECs are meant to help practices adopt EHRs, but to earn High-Tech Act incentives, each practice will be responsible for meeting all the meaningful use requirements, including those that change over time. You can stay on top of all of this on your own, or choose a software-enabled service solution like Athena Clinicals that does it all for you. letting you focus on patient care. But no matter what decision you make, consider this. The wrong solution could cost you more than the incentives will pay, and not actually resolve any of the problems the government set out to solve for you in the first place. To learn how our EHR solution is designed to roll with all the changes to come, and to find out about our high-tech act guarantee, visit us at athenahealth.com. Find out how we can...
Okay, so this video was actually made 10 years ago, and they had a window of 4 years until 2015 to demonstrate meaningful use of these systems. And it largely failed. And you can see the government put a lot of, you can see the government's fingerprints all over this thing with very particular rec requirements and meaningful use requirements. Again, I don't know what the answer is, but it hasn't worked yet. Okay, so, and again, that's not easy to understand because we've become a pretty sophisticated society in terms of information systems. Okay, so, don't worry about that. Okay, so, clinical decision support systems. You may not know this, but actually medicine was one of the domains that gave birth to artificial intelligence. There were things called expert systems that were used for diagnosing patients in the 80s, in the late 70s and in the mid 80s. I studied it when I was in graduate school. And when you think about it, what does the doctor do? When you go to a doctor and something's wrong with you, what the doctor generally does is he or she will start asking you questions about your symptoms. And they'll drill down. As you answer these questions, they'll refine, as you answer the doctor's questions, they'll refine the diagnostic questions to get more and more specific about what's ailing you.